Max, I'd like you to tell us briefly about who you are. You have a movement, if you will. You have a brand called No Bench Riding. I'd just like you to kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, what No Bench Riding is about, and a little bit about your background. And that's whatever you want to share, whatever somebody who doesn't know who you are should know.
Yeah. Um, so like you said, I have my name is Xavier Burt. I have a brand, a movement called No Bench Riding. No Bench Riding is basically it's a philosophy, it's a way of life, it's a mindset on terms of if you play sports, watch sports, know anything about sports, you know that a bench rider is somebody that is on the team. They don't play. They sometimes some bench riders don't even really get into practice. They just there. They just like glorified spectators. So they don't
Right.
really impact the game that's being played any. And I was sitting there with that one day, and I was kind of thinking like, you know what? There's a lot of bench riders in life, myself included. Like I was really just like thinking about like I'm really bench riding like this game of life that we had because we only get one.
Right.
And what that means is that like ask any kid like what do you want to be when you grow up or what do you love, and they'll get so excited and they'll tell you, and like when they're telling you this, there is no this isn't gonna happen. Like it's literally this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a princess. I'm going to be a unicorn. I'm going to be a bus driver. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be whatever the case it may be, right? And so
Right.
much enthusiasm and love and passion. And somewhere along the way, whether it's you tried and failed, whether people beat it out of you, not necessarily literally, sometimes literally if you come from that kind of environment, society, what they say is okay, what you should do, what your friends say, what your enemies say, you just lose that enthusiasm, you lose that passion. Right, exactly. You lose your truth, you lose who you are, and you start conforming and trying to be what you feel like you're supposed to be. And that's how you start sitting on the bench. That's how you start riding because like you live in this life and you could even have a successful job or whatever the case may be, but like you don't feel good. You don't feel happy about it. You don't feel like you're living and thriving. And
Right.
it's like, why? Like, why not? And it's because you're riding a bench. Like you're not performing. You're not starring in your own life. You're passively letting life pass by. And I just felt like I wanted to stop that. I wanted to like really create a movement where we promoted like what do you want to be when you grow up again. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be like vocationally. Like it just like pursue your pursuits. Like pursue what you want to pursue. Like if you want to be a singer, I'm not telling you like to quit your job and go try to like sing on the side, sing when you can,
Right.
sing, like,
Right.
and then be like figure it out. Like you have kids, like having kids to not be a death sentence. Like I have kids, and this is why I'm telling you this because like I just turned 29 on July 31st. I'm actually on this upcoming Friday. I'm moving to Vegas to kind of moving on in with my pops at 29. So you can call me a bum or whatever you want to say. Like, oh, he's moving in with his folks, blah blah blah. Because that's the stigma that we give in
But
society.
why does that have to be the stigma or the thing? Like why let's just stop, let's just you're moving to Vegas, we're gonna get, but why is that a thing? Why is moving strategically back in with your parents or a parent or something like that, or trying to make a lateral move in which sometimes you kind of got to step back? I liken it to I think rugby or like throwing a lateral or something like that. Like why is that a negative thing?
Yeah, yeah. I personally don't think it's a negative thing. I think society says it's a negative thing because we push once you turn 18, you're an adult. We push, you're supposed to know what you want to major. You're supposed to know what you want to do with your life. Like, that's what they say. You're supposed to, like, all right, you were here for 18 years now. You're supposed to have figured it out. But what you find is that, like, you don't. Like, you find that, like, there's no age in which you figure it out. The age that you figure it out is the age in which you figured it out. It's not like once you turn 30, life just makes sense now. Like, I know 50-year-olds who still don't know. Like, they just don't know.
Right.
Like, and so I think the society of American and Western culture is like so individualized, so like selfish and like not actually community village based, that when you are doing something outside of the norm, like moving home, it seems like you're a failure or like you're a scrub or loser or whatever the case may be. When really it's like, yo, I'm doing this because it makes the most sense. It brings the stability I need to my life, so then I could take off. I can really have peace of mind, so I can really focus on the things I need to focus on. Because you look at like Asian culture, even African culture. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. They're like, people be living in the cribs. Like, I know I got neighbors. It's like a group of them in this little apartment next door. You know what I'm saying? But it's like
Mm-hmm.
they doing what
Yeah.
they do now. He just told me they moved into a big old crib because they all pitched in and they got it. You know, and to me that just makes the most sense. Like, stay so you can build until you're able to move past that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was in Liberia for a little bit. My dad's from Liberia. I went there, and one of the things that they always talk about in Liberia is that um, you'll say, like, let's say you leave the country, or you leave the town for a few days or whatever. Here we call it house sitting, but over there it's like that's like a standard. Like, even during the day, they're like, who's gonna be minding your house? Like, who's gonna, meaning who's gonna, like, they say minding children, meaning like watching children,
Yeah.
or keeping your mind towards something. But who's gonna mind the house? Who's gonna watch the house? And there's always somebody in the house. And what I mean, how that relates to what you're saying, is like, typically it's a family member, and there's hella family members living in a compound. Like in Africa, at least in Liberia, and in West Africa, there's a lot of compounds where, my house, Xavier's house, whatever, like, everybody stays in this compound, like, or I might own it, but it's like a series of houses, and you may put your uncle here, you may put this guy here, whatever. And there's, I think you make a good point. It's like, A, it's economically smart, but then B, it's also like socially smart. Like, you have children to watch, and you're a young man, you have to go into the world, you have to you've pursued different careers that involve you being out of the house. And so it's like, if I'm out of the house, who's watching my kids then? And especially in the United States, where typically both parents have to work. If there's two parents in the household, or all the adults have to work, it's like nobody's there to watch the kids. So it's like, if my grandma moves in with me, my mom moves in with me, and we have a big ass house with an auntie, an uncle, a cousin, and people who have different schedules, it could benefit us. Honestly, it's like, it's economic, it's emotionally, like, if you need someone to talk to, there's always someone to talk to. If you get pissed with one person, you can go to the next person. It's not just two of y'all getting pissed off. But I kind of want to go back a little bit, because one thing you were talking about was what people want to be when they grow up, and knowing what they want to be. What did you know what you wanted to be when you were growing up? And we'll go back to Vegas in a second. But did you know what you wanted to be?
So I had a few things. I think the biggest. So one of the things I wanted to be was a marine biologist. I loved, like, I'm very intrigued by the ocean, and the fact that, like, we found a lot of wild shit in the ocean, and it's only been 5% discovered, right? So just think of all the wild things we've discovered in just a little 5% of this gargantuan ocean that we've discovered. But, like, really, I love whales. Free Willy was like my favorite movie growing up. I loved orca whales specifically. I love big old humpback whales. Um, but, like, I kind of grew out of that just because, like, I'm not super big science based type person. Like, I'm not a big, like, so it's like I have an interest in the ocean, and, like, that's just more for fun, for play type thing. Like, I want to scuba dive and do all those things ultimately, but, like, I want to go on, like, whale
It's
boats,
hard.
all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to make it my vocation necessarily. But I'm kind of a free spirit by nature. So one of the things I used to say as a kid, and I still be feeling it in my spirit now, is I want to be a nomad. Like, and that's not a job, but it was one of those things where it's like I'm kind of like, I have wanderlust. Like, I just want to go. I just want to experience experiences. Like, and I was wondering,
Wanderlust is crazy.
yeah, it's wild though, because it's like,
No, that's real though. That's real. That's very real.
because you like I said, I have kids, I have two kids, so it's like, how you almost have to like either you create a world in which they come with, and you kind of figure out how to teach them, like you homeschool or whatever, and you just. But then it's like you think about that, it's like there's pros and cons to it. Like you have some worldly kids who just have mad crazy experiences, but then it's like, what's the long-term damage in terms of like relationships? Like they don't really like. It's almost like the military kids who move all the time. It's like how like what how there been studies on how they maintain friendships, how they are in like intimate romantic relationships and things like that. It's like I don't want them to like be struggling with that in their adult years because like I was kind of my own selfish desires, right? Like I either should have A, not had them until I did it, if I ever, or B, I don't know, like figure out how to make it work where I can do both. Because I don't think you have to like give it up. I just feel like you have to figure out how you can do both if you choose to not have them experience it with you in that way.
So you always felt like you wanted to like that wanderlust or whatever. That word is so
It is. It's wild.
that word is so crazy.
Yeah.
But you've always had that desire to move around, that nomadic nature. Like, or when did you? What was the first moment or like instance that you think about where you're like, I feel like I'm a nomad, or I feel like I want to move around, or was it a positive experience? Was it like a negative experience where you wanted to move around because you didn't like the situation you were in? Was it positive? Like what was it?
It was like it's just an innate desire. I think I didn't know the word nomad till I learned it in school, which I learned it in elementary school. And then once
Right.
I read what it was, I was like, yo, I think that would be fire. Like to just like go to a new place and just
Right.
live and then bounce and go somewhere else. And like it wasn't like, oh, I hate my life, I want to be a nomad. Like it wasn't like nothing like that.
Right.
It was just more of like I've always been somewhere where I didn't necessarily have my own crew. Like I have friends, I have had friends to this day that I've had since I was kids, but like even amongst those friends, like they be hanging out and like I don't necessarily be there. Or like they won't necessarily like ask me to come or stuff like that. But like we still boys, it is what it is. But it's like I never belonged anywhere. I never like there's never a point where I was like I felt like I belonged anywhere. Not to be all like woe is me or anything like that. I don't mean it in that way. It was just like it's just a feeling. Like so I was like I just belong to the streets. I just belong.
Yo, that's so fucking crazy.
I just belong in the world. Like I don't connect well. Like it's like I connect. Like I had like a new like, take it how you want to, but it's like a new best friend every year. Like I had my bros who I always was friends with, but like I had the person I kicked it with the most each year was a new person. Right. So it was like
Wow, so you have no day ones. You just
I
fake
do.
as
No, that's what I'm
hell.
saying. Like my bros to this day are like bros I've had for years, but it's like they might not have necessarily been the one I was kicking it with the most at the time.
Right.
Like it was might have been some new person or whatever. But it's and it's never like no hard feelings when it fall off. Like it's like I still chop it up with them like when I catch them. It's always love. It's just I don't know. There's always been something about me that was more like don't connect that well. I kind of just want to be around. And the thing about like my life hasn't really demonstrated that, but my mind has. If that makes sense. Like I haven't, like I don't
Mm-hmm.
have like a bunch of travels or something. Like I've traveled a little bit, but like I don't have like a bunch of travels. But I've always desired to, and I think like that's been one of the biggest things. Is like I have to like kind of live out my life right now. Otherwise, like I'm not gonna be successful. So I have to figure out what that looks like. So to tie back in Las Vegas, that's my dad like gave me an opportunity to kind of regroup, kind of rebuild my life and figure out where I'm going next. Because
Hmm.
I haven't been thriving. Like I've been riding the bench in my own life to even tie back in no bench riding. And it's like I'm only getting older, but I'm still young. Like 29 is young. Like you pursue something for 10 years and you're not even 40, like you're 39. You know what I'm saying? So it's like putting things in perspective. It's like, okay, at what point am I going to be able to take the time for me to finally be who I need to be and want to be? Because like that's going to make me be a better father. That's going to help me be a better partner in a romantic relationship. That's going to help me be a better friend, a business partner, whatever the case may be. Like if you ain't right within yourself, then you can't be right for others. And like, I can't get rid of my kids, nor do I want to, but I want to be the best I can be for them. And I know that right now, I'm not.
Do you feel like it's because, you talk about from a young age that you had this desire to move around and to be nomadic, and and that you always just had this desire, and it could be simply a genetic thing, like maybe way back to you had nomadic people in your history, and you just wanted to be a nomad. I mean, like you said, it you didn't have a negative association with it, right? So it's like you could just be somebody who wants to move around. You look at the animal kingdom and think about all the various types of, I'm not going to say biological specimen, all the animals that move around consistently or migrate or change the area or roam across large, across whole continents for their life, or whatever, and like make huge journeys. It could just be, a part of who you are. Like I like to travel. I don't know if it's that the same desire necessarily to always move around, but I do like traveling. And then I just want to I do want to have a central place that I go back to, or a few central places, but when you talk about that though, it seems like when you're talking about the whole not being better or not being, the best version of yourself now, do you think that you've been feeling, stifled, or like you've been holding yourself back from like who you are, or like your need to travel and to move around? Is that what it is? Is it just pursuing whatever goals you have that have to do with career goals, business goals, that you feel stifled, so you just want to remove yourself from the situation? Like, do you think you're running towards something or away from something, or a little bit of both? And how do you reconcile that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think in the aspect of when you're trying to recreate, reinvent, or I don't want to say reinvent necessarily, because I don't want to say like I'm gonna be a whole different person. Like there's still aspects of me that's gonna always
Rebrand. You're
but
rebranding.
like rebrand. Like I think it's hard to do it in a place you've always been, because the people around you, like in your environment, sometimes like to keep you where you were. Like if you want to try to like if they always known you to be away and you want to become new, or you want to think new thoughts or pursue new ventures or try new things or think a different way or behave a different way, but people have always known you to kind of do something else.
Right.
It's they're not necessarily, I don't want to say they're hating on you, but it's like it's uncomfortable, and like it secretly challenges their own perspective and their own thoughts on themselves, and then you, like, how dare you feel like you can do this?
Right.
Because they've chosen the path that fits them, or maybe it doesn't fit them, but they aren't ready to do this for themselves. So it's like moving to a new place, I feel, gives me the opportunity to like not have people trying to like tell me who I am, because they don't know who I am. Because I also like, and this is on a deeper level, it's like, to no fault of theirs, I haven't necessarily allowed people to see who I really am just because of past traumas and things like that. You protect yourself, like you shield, you put on masks, you present a certain way, or like if you find something that kind of works that you feel comfortable with, you kind of keep going in that direction. So it's like it's not necessarily people's fault. It's just human nature to like want to protect yourself. But it's like at some point you kind of get tired of that, and you're like, I want to be me. Like for example, it's like when Dennis Rodman was in the parking lot back when he played for Detroit, and he brought the rifle to like kill the old Dennis Rodman. It was symbolism to like, I'm tired of being this person that everybody wants me to be. And I want to be me. Like, I just want to be free. Like, I'm not saying I want to paint my nails and dye my hair and all that stuff. It's just that, like, I want to, like, truly figure out who Xavier Lee Burt is and be that. And pursue those things without the judgment of people like, oh, like, you're too old for that. Or, oh, why are you doing that? Or why don't you just do this? Or why don't you just get a house and get a job? And this is, like, because it doesn't fucking fit my life. Like, that's not, it doesn't make me live.
Right.
I feel like you only get one of these, so you should try to like live it the best way possible. And like, so many people want you to play it safe, or they play it safe because they feel like there's these rules that you gotta follow. And it's like, there ain't no fucking rules. Like, you create your own rules. Like, the game is yours to play the way you choose to play it, and then like be the best at your game. And hopefully you can inspire others. So it's like, for me, it's like I've been sitting the bench my whole life. Now I don't want to no more. Now I want to fucking be Michael Jordan. I want to be Kobe. Like, I want to rest in peace. I want to star. And it's like, all right, so I have to go back to the foundation. Ironically enough, home base of terms where your parents live, and rebuild myself to be everything that I should have been. And I say should have with quotes, because you can only be what your awareness is at the time. And so it's I'm trying to inspire people through no bench running, like, yo, this is okay to do. Like, there's no age limit. Like, if you're 30 and don't have it together, doesn't mean that your life is just shit. Like, you might not figure out till 38. It's okay. Figure it out though. Like, keep pursuing the truth of yourself to figure it out. Because it's not over until it's literally over. It's not over until it's literally over. Like, for example, I had the opportunity at 29 to go to a 2-year school out in California to play football. At 29, like, you play college football to be 18 or 22. So if I let that limit be there, I would have never even pursued any other opportunity to see if maybe an opportunity for me to play college football would even present itself, because it's not typical. You're not supposed to do that. Now, whether I pursue it or not isn't really relevant. The point is, there was an opportunity because I seeked it out, and I found out, oh, well, that little 18 to 22 rule doesn't actually exist. It might exist in terms of like, I can't play Division I, you know, but like, if you go just to play college football because you have the dream of playing college football or whatever the case may be, there's other ways, which is another lesson here. Like, maybe the one route ain't the right route, but don't change your goal up. Just figure out a different route to get there.
Right.
And so figure that. So it's like, that's kind of what I'm kind of show. Like, going back to school, like, I graduated high school in 2009. Like, I tried to go back to school so many times. I've stopped going, quit, blah, blah, blah. Not because I'm not good at, like, I'm dumb. It's just that for the school shit wasn't working out for me. Like, I just wasn't feeling it.
So I know a little bit, but you went back to school. When did you go back to school recently? Or you're planning on going back to school? Yeah. Recent, aren't you you were going back?
I'm planning on going back. Like, I've gone and stopped many times. I think the last time was like over a year ago. Like, I think I was like, it was like 2018 maybe was the last time I actually went. Maybe early 2019. I went to like one class and I was like, I ain't ready to be here. And I left and I just withdrew or whatever. But it was one of those things that, like, if you quit, then you quit. But if you stop and you keep knowing that you want to do it, but then I have to challenge myself, like, is school the right thing for me? Like, why am I keep trying to go back to school? And for me, it's less about the degree and more about the legacy behind it, in terms of in my opinion, my grandpa was actually the first person of all, but he had like 16, 18 brothers and sisters, like, you know, mom born on a plantation type stuff. Like, he was the first one to graduate, or only one, I believe, to graduate high school. And he's from Canton, Ohio, Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame. And he actually got a basketball scholarship to go to Mankato, oddly enough. He went out there and he ended up getting in a fight with some white dudes, racist stuff, you know, the times. went
Right.
back, and blah blah blah. He didn't reach the potential he was supposed to reach. We'll just say that. But so my pops comes along. Not only does he graduate, and like in my family, like Burts in general really aren't expected to be much. Like you go to jail, you do street stuff. You don't really not expected to like win in this world technically. But so there was not really high expectations for like my dad and my uncle, and they both do really well for themselves. But my dad, not only did he graduate high school, but he got a football scholarship to the University of Minnesota, right? So and he graduated. But not only did he graduate, like his last year, so he was a fifth year senior, the year I was born, he quit the team. So that means you lose your scholarship. So he already had kids prior to me. He had my sister. He had two other kids, but mainly he was raising one of my sisters at the time. So he's raising two kids and trying to finish school and pay now because he lost his scholarship. So he's working. And then to talk about the village, my grandma moved from Canton to Minnesota to help raise us. So that's the importance of a village, why either you can move back home, do it, or if people can move to where you're at, it's beautiful. And he graduated. And like he made like a life for him, so he's doing great. And it's like I got to see like from when he was poor to like now how he's doing really well for himself. And I got to watch how he grinded and watch how he kept getting these new jobs and kept seeking out new opportunities. So I think that's why I think the way I do. Like I always say, like the kids of the parents who struggled always dream better than the parent, because their mindset is kind of like, I'm just trying to make a way. I'm trying to create a stable environment. I'm trying to find a level of success. So they're kind of one track minded. I'm like, I just need to make this money, make money, hustle, grind. But then the kids are able to like dream, right? So it's like my desire to go back to school is like out of just respect that he got his degree with odds stacked against him, and then he ended up getting an MBA on top of that. And like my older sister, the one who he was raising, who like he was in college, got her degree and then ended up getting her master's as well. So it's almost like, and I'm his only son, so it's almost like I feel, and this is not something he's like, you have to be like this. It's just something I've taken on. Because I just feel like when you're like a son, you kind of take on that aspect in terms of legacy of like, I can't let him down. Like I can't let the work that he's putting down. So I have to like, at minimum, and this will be disappointing, is match his level of success. Like matching it to me would be disappointing because I feel like you should always level up from the previous generation. Like otherwise, what was their grind for? And I feel like I've been a disappointment this far, and that's kind of where I'm at. Where it's like, all right, now how do I level up and make my family proud, make myself proud, show my kids what the grind look like how to pursue amazing things. Like I don't talk like it was my daughter's birthday yesterday, and she was talking about my younger sister. My younger sister was talking about like, yeah, because I think my daughter was like, I can't wait to get a job or something, right? And my sister was like, yeah, when you turn 16, you get a job. I'm like, ain't no job. We're being stars out here. Like, we're gonna create our own money. Like it's just a different mindset. Like we're not gonna become cogs into the wheel. Like we're going to create our own wealth. Like we're gonna create our own money. We're gonna figure that out. Like I don't want y'all desires to be like, how do I work? Like, that's not to say not work hard and be hardworking and disciplined and have a strong work ethic, but it's like I don't want you to grow up wanting to work for someone. Not that there's anything wrong with working someone, because if you believe in a vision and a company and stuff, and like it's your dream job, and great, go for it. And like if my kids say that, do your thing. Like you don't want to like have that be your mindset of like you don't trust in yourself.
Right.
And I think
Do
that's
you
right now.
do you think that because a lot of what you're saying, and by the way, I'm thinking that this interview is going to be for a different show.
Okay.
Because I like where it's going, and sometimes you go with the flow and you realize like, oh shit, this is not what I thought it was. And instead of, whatever. But anyway, that's a side note.
Yeah.
Do you think that, a lot of what you're saying, even when you were talking about the nomadic stuff or the wanting to express yourself and be yourself and the voices from the outside of, friends and family and co-workers and whoever in society that's trying to define you, and even, leading up to this idea of, like your father, who's like a super successful dude and living, in the shadow of his footsteps, so to speak, or whatever, like, do you think that people from our generation, because I have like a lot of older guys, let me set this up. A lot of older guys, they tend to have this mentality about, like this macho, I'm not affected by what anybody thinks of me type mantra that they talk about, right? And I think it is a powerful thing, especially in a man's toolbox. Like males, when they want to develop manhood and a culture of being a man and what it means and virtues, you can't really be too affected by other people's thoughts and other people's ideas because it's just not healthy for your emotional environment. Like that's why we have a conscious mind and the subconscious, because the conscious mind has to protect you from, subconscious, people pulling and you have to protect that part of your mind. Like people talk about protecting your peace, but really like your mind is an indicator if you're emotionally well in the first place. Like the thoughts that you think, and, when you go to sleep, do you hate sleeping? Do you hate your thoughts? Do you hate your mental environment? And I think about kind of what you're saying with all these outside voices, and the same thing happens to a lot of us. It's kind of weird because when you think about it, like, let's say you have a friend, right, that isn't trying to hate on you, but just like by virtue of your relationship, like they're like, oh, I've known that nigga since he was, 14 or whatever. And nigga, you ain't gonna be no. And if I just watched you do this, and it's not a hater thing. They're trying to keep you grounded in their mind. But there's a thin line, between your friend, like friendship and enemies. And that's why that whole frenemy thing, it doesn't vibe with me very well. Like I like to know that someone's either like a friend to me or they're not. And I don't think everything is black and white. I think all people have their negative things. Like me and you, we'll go work out. You'd be like, damn, this dude Marcel talks too loud about, white people or whatever. But I didn't take it as he hates me or anything. It's just he's like, yo, this is this thing that you do that maybe necessarily I'm not even saying is wrong. I'm just like, yo, I don't vibe with this thing you do. Or there may be something that you do that I don't vibe with. And then what I do is I weigh it and I say, is Xavier more good for me or more bad for me? And then what's the percentages, because you can't really come up, and then I kind of determine like, where is this friendship leading me? Where is this relationship leading me and how does it benefit? And all people will disappoint you if you have expectation. Like, I don't create expectation too much. Like I'll create an expectation, but I won't actually tell myself that that's what's going to happen. I'll just say, if you're my friend, this is what I expect from you. And it's more of like a contract than because a contract can be breached. When you write a contract, this motherfucker might go against it, but here are the ramifications. So I think, talking to your friends about like, yo, if, like real conversation, like, yo, if you don't support me, then I'm not going to be coming to your birthday parties and kicking it with you and whatever. Cause I don't like the word that comes to my mind when I hear a lot of the stuff you talk about with your childhood and even some of the stuff with your dad. And I'm going to wrap up my idea, but the word that comes to me is this word I've been sort of thinking about, and I'm not big on just dealing with a word, but it's resentment. Because sometimes, I've noticed that like if I'm not careful or if the next person's not careful, you can build resentment for someone because of the things that they're saying to you or doing or saying about your dreams, your goals or whatever. It's like, yo, mom, what the fuck? Like, you know, I wanted you to listen to my song. I wanted you to watch my tapes. I wanted you to, you know, like at least give me feedback. Shit. You know what I'm saying? I wanted you to make it to my you know, this event that I had and you didn't show up, you know? And I think people sometimes, you know, call it passive aggressive, call it whatever you want. Like most human beings hold secrets or they hold thoughts to themselves to some degree. You know, there's some people that are going to share every fucking thing and they're generally considered crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then there's people who's like lit, you know, who might, I'm a little loud sometimes. Sometimes I'm really reserved. It just depends. But, you know, but it's like, I think you can build a resentment. Like, do you think that, let me tie all this together. Do you think that our generation deals with sort of mental health and self-esteem and like knowing who you are and what you want and having a deep like sense of self-confidence around who you are more than previous generations? And does that build a sense of like, I got to get out of here. I got to do this thing, you know, like almost like we have a big ass chip on our shoulder. Like, do you think that that's like more common for our generation than for, let's say, generations before us, or not necessarily?
So I don't think that we, nice. I don't think that we feel that more in this generation.
Okay.
I think we act on it more in this generation. I think that before, like, let's say you're born in like a steel mill town or a farmer's town. Like, your daddy was a farmer, your grandpa was a farmer, your great grandpa was a farmer. Like, you're gonna be a farmer. Even though you might have been like, man, I kind of want to like move to the city and do this. But like, I think there wasn't as many like options that you could see
Right.
to necessarily be like, I'm gonna go do that instead. So I think they became farmers, and that's why you hear the stories like grandpa was struggling, like he was just volatile, like he was a drinker, like he became abusive. And like I think that's purely unhappiness with like where your life was. Like I think that was just the not fulfilling your dreams. I think the beauty of like of where we are today in terms of like social media, in terms of being able to see a lot of things, is that if you can visualize something, you can become something. It's hard to become something you've never seen. So like if you come from a town like in the generations before, like where you're like, I want to like do something more, you might not actually know what more is. You just know I don't fucking want to farm. And like I don't know anybody that moved to the city to move to the city. So like, guess I'm a fucking farmer. And I guess I'm gonna do what my dad did. I guess I'm gonna do what my grandpa did. I guess I'm gonna do what my great grandfather did. And then you're just kind of doing it, and you're just like, it sucks. But like our generation now, we can like see everything. We can see almost too much. So even too much is bad, as we see. That's why there's so much mental health in that aspect too. So it's like there's a trappings in being overwhelmed, just like there's a trapping in being underwhelmed. Like you just kind of like, I don't fucking know what to do because there's too many options and I kind of want to do 20 of these motherfuckers, right?
Right.
Just like there's a trapping of like, I want to do something else, but I don't know what something else is. And so I think we almost owe it to the fact that the other generation didn't have those same options to pursue the options that we have. Like, why play it safe when you literally don't have to? And you can see that what you're thinking has been done. Like you still might not know how to do it. Like you might not have the logistics down, but like you still understand that like I want to move to the city and do this. Like you could see examples of people who moved to the city and done stuff. So now you know that it's a thing. Like you're not just bugging. in which before, like, they try to make you seem like you're crazy. And it's like, I'm not the only one who feels this way. Like, I can go find millions of people who feel the same way as me, just with a like that.
Right.
And I don't know if that's answering your question, but I'm just
yeah, I mean, I do think it's about accessing, like, it, I you know, this isn't a us versus them or anything conversation,
no, right.
but it's just kind of like a understanding. Like I think I have noticed that people who are older, they didn't address certain things with their mental health because they weren't able to, or for whatever reason. I do think that some people had, especially with men, particularly with, like, I think men have a greater, from our generation, maybe not now, because now the girls are being shown more examples of successful women and what it means to be successful. And they're also kind of like changing their idea of what it means to be a successful woman now. So I think they equally can have some of those same anxieties. But I think that there's a certain kind of pressure on males to, like, go out there, compete, you know, be the best, like, be the top dog, be the alpha, whatever. And it's been like that for so long, but without the backbone of, you know, culture. And I don't mean like a specific culture, like, you know, this tribe or something. I just mean, like, you know, having, you know, knowing who you are, knowing, like, how you want to approach the world, knowing the world around you, having an understanding of that world around you, and then saying, like, hey, you know, this is how I want to live my life based on the world that I'm living in. You know, I think a lot of people don't really get what's going on. They don't understand the world around them. And so then their lifestyle doesn't link up with the desires that they have in their mind, because they don't have, like, it's kind of like you don't measure up because you don't have all the prerequisite stuff to measure up, and you're not doing the prerequisite things. And I think we have, like, a lot of information. Like you said, we have so much like access to LeBron and, you know, all these people who are so great. But it's like, on the flip side of what you're saying, like, I'm not going to be LeBron. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not how tall is he? 6'7" or something like that?
6'8", yeah.
Yeah, 6'8". I'm not 6'8". I'm not ripped to the teeth. I could get ripped to the teeth. Yeah. Maybe, you know, but I had back surgery when I was younger. So, you know, there's certain, like, limitation or certain limitations on my time. Like, I'll have to take 4 years to get even to remotely. And during that 4 years, mind you, he's still getting better every single year. So yeah. I'm not going to, so I think that's more physical, but even some people, like you want to be an author, but you're dyslexic. It's possible, but it just, there are certain things that I think, you know, it's like you said, it's like we're overwhelmed. Like, if anything, I feel like we're way more overwhelmed than underwhelmed. I think maybe 60 years ago or something like that, people were underwhelmed. Like, they didn't have enough information. They're just like going to the steel mill, whatever. I don't think that was in the 80s that was happening, but that's more like the 70s, the 60s, like before, like, people have been seeing a lot of shit in the last, like, 30 years at least, like, and especially in the last 20 years, people have been seeing a lot of shit, and we have access to, like me and you were talking about earlier, like esports. Yeah. Like, me and you are not super gamers. We're not esports pros, but we have access to see an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. There's a guy who's around our age. He's in his mid to, I think he's like 25, 26. This man with his group of either 3 or 4 guys in the Call of Duty tournament, they won $100,000. The amount of time that Call of Duty tournament took was less than 8 hours. Actual gameplay. Now, of course, you have training and all that, you know, so you could argue that they have to train and take all the years of time. But my point is, if you could make, let's say you're splitting it between 4 guys, if you could make 25 racks in 8 hours, you would probably be doing that. To sit on your ass and, you know, play a video game. There's kids reviewing things on YouTube, you know? And so now the children are getting these messages of success, like hyper success, hyper inflated success, because it's not just that this person is actually successful. Like, look at the Kardashians. It's not that they're actually like, it's not that they bring so much real, tangible, wholesome value. It's not organic food. It's, you know, it's McDonald's. No hate on McDonald's. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to have any real tangible skills. Like, you can just, you know, capitalize off of something. And so then I think it like creates a complex in the kids' brains and in young people's brains that, let me ask you the question. Are we seeking, or are you seeking? Let me ask you, do you feel like you're seeking something that is unattainable, or you're only seeking attainable things? Like, you see something and you're like, this cup or this little, whatever this is, this little Vicks type thing is right here. And if I just reach, I can get that and I'll be satisfied with that. Or is there some, you know, deeper, and we don't got to get too deep, but like a void or something that you're constantly looking for because of some of the things in your past, or, you know, whatever?
No, that's a great question. I think for me, and that's why I always say, like, I'll just use football as an example. I always say, like, my pursuit of football at this age and at this time isn't actually about reaching the NFL or reaching professional football at all. Okay. To be honest, it's literally about the pursuit of deciding that I want to go for something that I've always wanted to do, and showing people that it's better to pursue something that you feel that you want than to just sit on it. Especially if it's something that you truly are passionate about. Like, and so I truly believe, though, that is something, because it's something that's always been in my brain over the years since I graduated high school, and it kept coming back. And then I kept getting opportunities, that there's something to that. I don't know if that's the universe telling me, like, this might just be the platform, maybe just preparing for it, just the chasing it is the platform, or the reaching it is the platform. I'm not sure which one it is, but I think the point is, why can't I just let that shit go? Like, why is it something that just stays there? Like, and I believe that we all have these things that, if we're laying in a bed at night, is there. It's kind of whispered to us to pursue or to explore. And that's probably been there for a long time. And then it's like, when you decide to pursue something, that fear sets in, so we don't. And we kind of like you've been doing podcasts and stuff for a long time. Like, why is this just now coming off the ground, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you might not say you were outright scared. Like, I'm not saying you were like scared of boogeyman type scared, but like feeling like you need this piece of equipment or this equipment, like, sure, but like I think there's a fear there that if you explore, you might be like, damn, like, I was kind of scared to like put myself out there at this time. And correct me if I'm wrong. You could be like, no, that's not it. But like, I just feel like that's how all of us are. So to answer your question, I feel like there's a void in the sense of, I've just been underperforming in my life, and now I'm taking the steps to perform, and this is just a platform, a way that I'm doing that. And so it'll be with football, it could be like with going back to school, it could be with just my health and fitness in general, it could be with pursuing entrepreneurial things. They're all like going from somebody who I'm not proud of, who I've been, to becoming who I feel like I really am. And that's somebody of value, somebody who, not that I'm not a person of value now, but somebody who's doing things, and I'm not just existing. I'm not just riding the bench. Like, and so I guess you could say, yeah, I guess it's all filling voids, but isn't that what we all pursue things for?
Well, and it's not really like it's a genuine question, because I think like I think all of us at some point have tried to fill void, so to speak, and people can speak around it. They can say, oh well, no, I'm just doing this because this is the right thing, or this is what I'm good at, or whatever excuse or reason that people use. And I don't want to take away people's reasons for living and doing what they do, and it's, I don't think I could anyway. Like, people, we all wake up, we tell ourselves a particular narrative about our life and about our traumas and about what we're doing and what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. But there's also very concrete things like building, for example, one of the things I'm passionate about, okay, building Black wealth, right? That's a concrete thing. You can look at numbers, you can look at who owns houses and duplexes and who's renting and who's investing in stocks and all of that. And the narrative is just whether or not you care about that, like whether or not that matters to you. Like, because this planet been here for billions of years, and humanity's been here. I need to look up my Lucy information, or Homo Australopithecus, or I have to look it up. But the oldest known, the Lucy bones or whatever, I don't know how old they are. I'm just gonna say like 1,000,000 years. Let's say even if it's 500,000 years, right? There's so much time that people have been living and doing things and telling themselves a narrative about what's going on. And then there's that same amount of time where shit has been happening as a result of the narratives that people are telling themselves about what the fuck is going on. So one guy may, have all these voids and then tell themselves, well, I'm going to commit suicide because this is how I'm seeing what's happening right now. Yeah. But see, the difference between me or you and that man may be that his brain is flooded with too much dopamine, or too much, or too little dopamine, or too much serotonin, like, and we don't have that experience. And so we're like, oh, well, why'd you choose to do it this way? Well, they told themselves a narrative based on the way that they felt, and they couldn't remove themselves or, pull themselves up out of what they were doing and just look at it objectively and say, oh, maybe I'm feeling these things, and maybe I could approach it this way or that way, And so they told themselves a narrative about it. Maybe somebody didn't help. Maybe someone who could have helped was telling themselves a narrative about something. And I don't like making life all like, foofy la la. Like, life is not all just, oh, it's just what you think about it. No, there's concrete shit going on in this lifetime. There's, cops are killing Black people, for example. That's a concrete thing. That's not, but there are then narratives about your awareness of something, and then how you choose to respond to that thing. And that's since the dawning of time. That's like a philosophical, soul, spiritual issue with individuals. How you could look at it like, well, life don't matter, so I could just kill myself right now, or I could just do whatever I want all day, every day, because that's an actual reality. In actual reality, I will die within 80 years, most likely, and I could just spend my time doing whatever the hell I want to do, because that's the narrative I tell myself about the world. You know what I'm saying? But then you give yourself, I think purpose, is the word. Like, you have to ascribe yourself a purpose. Like, you have ascribed yourself a purpose of this is what I'm going to pursue. Do you think that, you talk about what I was hearing in my head when you were talking about, like, getting back in shape, going to school, playing football. The phrase I hear in my mind is like moving in the right direction. Basically, like, I'm just trying to move in the right direction and be moving. Do you have a specific like goal, or do you have an end game? And how important is an end game, like, at this stage of where you are on what you're doing? I don't want to make it too, like I said, foofy lala, but like, how important is an end game, or like, what are you trying to get out of this and do?
Yeah. Is there an end game with what specifically?
Well, like a career, or, like I said, I don't like too much of the foofy la, but like, what do you want to be experiencing? Do you want to like be living in Guam in a, penthouse and teaching kids how to play soccer every day? Like how do you want to be living your life, and how is this contributing to that? Or are you just right now in a space where all you can do is just move in the right direction? That's all you have the capacity to do.
So I think right now, I think that's been the biggest question, is like, what do I want? Because my goal is always to have like a certain kind of life by the time my daughter, because she's the older child, graduates high school. So she just turned 7. She's entering 2nd grade. So that gives me what, 10 years before at least she's entering senior year. So it gives me kind of 13 years to like by the time she's done. Or 11 years, I mean, by the time she's done. So that it puts me about 40. But right now, I think this year is only like my 29th year is only about pushing in a positive direction. It's changing the narrative of how I've been in this past 9 in moving and setting positive, building positive habits, building my self-esteem, building my self-confidence, and truly laying the foundation for entering my 30s. How I want to live, so I'm very like, I'm not somebody who wants to be going in there punching a clock every day. Like, even if I work for someone, I need to be working in some where I have autonomy over my time and like how I work. Not like I have to come in and go in the cubicle type shit. No. For example, like agents the agents typically work for the agency, but the way they live and they work is so like, it's fluid. Like they're just kind of all over the place.
You mean sports agents?
Yeah, sports agents. Like they're not just like going into clubs. Like they might be at this sports combine in May. They might the next day might be in New York at some function. They might, that's how I kind of like to live. That's kind of, I would want to like be involved in things. Like, and for me personally, there's two lanes that I'm like, how do I connect the two? I've always had strong interest in psychology, and I've always had strong interest in business. So it's like, I want to pursue both, and that's why when you mentioned LeBron earlier, I was like, beautiful, because like we always think of it in terms of like their physical stature, right? And so when I look at somebody like a Michael Jordan, when I look at somebody like a LeBron James, I don't look at them like, I can't be Michael Jordan, I can't be LeBron James. Like, yes, I'm not 6'6" for Michael, I'm not 6'8", 270 for LeBron, but I can see how they live their life. Like their job was basketball. Everything else stemmed from their ability to play the game. Like if they were bums, they wouldn't be doing all the things that they're doing now, nor would we give a fuck, right?
Right.
So I always ask, I'm like, how come, like, we as normal folk, just for lack of better phrasing, how come we like can't become, let's say, become a social worker, and then we create our own media company, and then we author books, or we create our own clothing line? Like, how can we only feel like celebrities and athletes and others can do multiple things? Like, why can't we do multiple things? Like, why do we only have to have the career we went to school for, and that's it? So my plan is like, I'm gonna pursue both aspects. To like, I don't believe you necessarily need to go to college for business. I think you can pick that up and you can learn those skills. You can learn those skills. But like, I am, for the sake of like, because I've been working a bunch of fucking jobs over the years, like I've had like 30 plus jobs, because I ain't been making no bread. Like, I'm cool with like learning and working for somebody to like learn, right? I'm looking at it as paid internships. That's what the next steps when I start getting like career jobs, and actually internships are going to do for me, is to kind of like learn, so then I can do my own thing. I can't really tell y'all right now what the end thing is, because I haven't defined it yet. I just know that I like working with people. I like kind of like coaching type things, consulting type work. I like I also want to help people build their brands and their businesses. Like I don't need to be the one. Like my business would be helping other people excel more
Okay.
or figuring out how to excel in the first place. Like start from where I'm at to or worse to move in the right direction. Because I just have a passion because I feel like everybody has something. And that doesn't mean everybody has something that's gonna make them millions or even six figures, but they have something that's gonna make them feel happy with their life.
Right.
And that's my passion. And so in terms of how I live my life, I have this idea because I was going to turn no bench writing. I decided I was going to turn no bench writing into a personal development company instead of just like a specific thing. Because personal development has many different areas of focus that makes a human whole, right? So right now my focus is on fitness and like fitness and sport and health, because that's where I feel like I need to. I feel like if you start taking control of things that you can kind of control, it puts you in a it sets the foundation for other things. Like I feel like for me, if I start developing the positive habits to take control of my physical health and my mental health, I believe that I can accomplish other stuff. And I have direct control over my physical health. Like I can control how I eat, what I eat. I control how much I go to the gym, when I go to the gym. I can control how hard I go, control what I do while I'm there. And so I think by setting the foundation in that way, that's kind of where my focus is right now at 29 is my health and training and nutrition and stuff, is that's going to set the foundation for moving forward. And then kind of financial health too is like I need to definitely get a hold on how I spend my money, where I spend money, how I want to make my money. Because as much as we try to act like money is not important, money gives you the freedom to do the things that you want to do.
Right.
So that's what it's about. I think each person should really take control of their health to start and kind of look at their finances and figure out what can I cut out, what can I do more of, what skill do I want to develop that I don't mind doing to make more money, and that's where I'm at right now. And that's kind of what this trip to Las Vegas, this move to Las Vegas is going to do for me. It's going to like help me step back to kind of evaluate my life up to this point. What are the things I've been doing? Like, what did I like to do? Like, what I want to pursue more of? What do I not want to pursue anymore?
Right.
And how? And in the spirit of no bench riding, because it's about like challenging yourself. I've always felt like I'm an athlete, even though my life didn't match it post high school, right? I've always felt like an athlete who's kind of a free agent. I was just in between stuff. I was in between gigs. So I have this idea for myself. It's like I kind of want to challenge myself physically to see how elite of an athlete I can be. And that doesn't mean how elite of a football player I can be. Like I have an idea of like I want to pursue all sorts of stuff. Like I want to enter a Spartan race. I might want to do like American Ninja Warrior. I might want to do a triathlon, or I want to bike or learn martial arts and compete or something like, and just do a bunch of things to challenge myself physically. Like that's kind of where my brain is at right now. It's like I want a life of experiences and challenges, but like fun. Those are fun challenges to me. Like challenging yourself in a growth way. So to somebody else, that the physical shit might be dead. Like it could just be like they're creative. So it's like take that same concept into a creative realm, and like maybe you want to write a comic book, maybe you want to write a book, maybe you want to make a movie, maybe you want to make a music video, maybe you want to do whatever the case may be, but start challenge yourself in those ways. Or you're a scientist and you want to discover stuff. I don't know. But it's just like whatever your thing is, that's where I'm just kind of at that place where it's like I'm looking and like I want to become. Like I want to, and so now what do I need to do to become? Well, I need to start doing the foundational things. So if I want to start doing athletic things, I need to get in shape. Like I need to work on my health, my physical fitness, and my body composition, my nutrition. You understand what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be broke anymore. Okay, let me understand money. Like let me understand what my budget is. Let me understand like what am I spending my money on? Like damn, I spend my money on eating out all the time. Like maybe if I didn't eat out so much, I'll have more money in my pocket. Like that's one way I can trim. Or I'm paying for that. I don't even use that. Let me cancel that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you realize that we just kind of drift. At least I'm okay. I won't even see we. I'll say me. I realize I've just been drifting. And like when I look at the wheel of all the different areas of life, I'm like, there wasn't one where I was like, I'm thriving there. I realized that I've literally been drifting in every area. I've just been kind of waking up, just letting the day take me. And I think even though like I would like a little nomadic life, I still kind of want a little direction with the nomadic type things as well. Like, so you would think that, oh, well, you want to be a nomad, wouldn't that make sense to just kind of drift and let the light world take you where you want to go? But I was like, yes and no, still kind of purpose still wakes people up in the world. And my purpose is like,
right.
When I say nomadic life, it's more of like, I don't want to be tied down somewhere.
So sometimes I think about, some of the stuff that you're saying and like, my brain is, I used to be, I am a creative, but I'm also like someone that I enjoy like I need physical fitness more than anything, just because I had a predisposition towards medical issues as a child. So I just need it. And I need, I think men in general and women, all people, but I think males particularly do need a lot of physical expression with all the testosterone and stuff like that to like be a healthy person and live a healthy lifestyle. And, I think about, let me get in my thoughts. I think about like how I used to be very, like you said, in the drifting sort of sense, or like in the sense of like, I used to be sort of in the mindset of, I'm a creative, I want to do everything. And I still have that jack of all trades kind of ambient running in all directions sometimes, as aware of myself as I am. Like I know it, but then I'll like look at things, start things, and I still do it. Like I'm aware of it, but I'm like, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Like sort of with the nomadic thing, I think it's like, you could tell yourself a narrative that being a nomad is, you talked about like not having a place, and not all super sad, but just like not feeling at home in any particular group of people, right? So you could be like, in your case, you could have taken that and just been like, man, no one loves me and I'm just going to move away. Or you could say, it is what it is. I always felt like I had to move around. I don't know if there's a trauma associated, maybe, not being funny, but it's like my mommy didn't love me or some shit, so I'm not in love with my home or whatever.
Right.
I'm going to just move around. I'm going to use it to the best of my ability. Like I look at my weaknesses and I say, okay, maybe I'm not as, let's say you're not as muscular, but you're flexible. Well, then, someone who's more muscular can't be as flexible as you in certain instances, like a strength bodybuilder, benching 500 pounds, they're not as flexible as you, period. So you're going to have your skills and use, but I think that sort of more, I'm an artist, or I go in all directions without having a direction and a purpose. It kind of drove me to be a little bit like like extreme, where I was like, yo, if this isn't practical, I don't want to hear about it. Like if it's not a practical, what are you doing to get to this next thing? But talk to me about like how you take those two ideas and make them live at peace with each other. You do want to be going in a direction, but it's like, damn, bro, if I got to get up and be like, well, I'm still 695 days away from having, six-pack abs or whatever. It's like, nigga, no one's going to be at day 1 of 695 and be super driven unless you're like David Goggins or something like that. Like, so how do you do the day-to-day? Like how do you reconcile doing something that, maybe it's just for today? Like you just had to go and meditate and get better today. You had to read a book, and maybe that book betters your sports psychology knowledge, or it betters your kinesiology, or your knowledge of the world or history or science, and somehow that transfers. But like, you know, how do you take the foofy la la, you know, and I don't mean to make fun of it, like, but how do you take the artistic look on life, you know, and it's beautiful, it's creative, it's beautiful. How do you take that and then mesh that with concrete things that make you feel like, you know, you're going from point A to point B?
Yeah. So that's another great question. I actually, it's funny because I kind of was having that conversation with myself not too long ago. I think for me is understanding that it's great to have the goal. For example, physically, I have a goal. Like, I don't really have a scale goal. Like, I kind of have a scale, like a weight scale range of like kind of where I want to be. But like, I understand that like that might not be what it looks like when I get there. So instead, I have a body fat percentage goal.
Okay.
I have direct control over getting to that.
Hmm.
And so my body fat is extreme. My goal, and this isn't like the goal I want to like live in. It's just I want to like challenge myself to get there, which is 5%.
Oh,
like everybody who I've said it to is like, that's not healthy. That's not this and this. And I'm like, I understand. Like,
yeah, it's not.
I understand. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to live at 5% at all.
Right.
I want to, but I think it's one of those things that's like such a challenge that who you become, and this is where that foo-foo stuff plays in. Who you become in the pursuit of that challenge is going to make me a better person than who I am today, right?
Right.
But I also understand to get to that goal, all I have is today. All we have, like people talk about the 5-year plan and the 10-year plan. You really need to really kind of focus on your 24-hour plan, because all you have is the current 24 hours. I'm not guaranteed to make it through today. To be real, you only really have 24 hours. You're really in a month, second to second. But let's just give yourself 24 hours. So, in each 24 hours, what does my activity need to look like to get to that goal that's kind of out there?
Mm.
And then you do that. And then tomorrow, you wake up. So maybe you want to do it the night before. Okay, what do I want my tomorrow to look like? And you wake up and you go through that. And you kind of do that each day. And if you want to make it a little longer, maybe you do it by month by week. By week by month. And then after the month, maybe you want to add it quarterly, so every 3 months. Like, this is where I want to be at the end of the 3 months. So you kind of keep it short enough where like you don't lose that urgency. But when you get there, you're gonna realize that like in the next like 3 months from now, by doing my day-to-day work, I'm different than I was on day one. Like, I'm kind of a lot different than I was in day one, even though it's only been 3 months. And it keeps you productive, because then when you start working in goals and you start working in feelings, you get more done. Like, when I started my walking every single day, it was every single day, regardless of how I felt that day. So it's like, I didn't want to walk, and I didn't want to walk every day. I was just like, fuck this walking shit. Like, it's hot, or it's cold, or it's raining, blah, blah, blah. My black ass was out there every day, because I said every day. Right. Because I had a goal to commit. My goal in doing that was to become somebody who could commit to something. You understand what I'm saying? So the foo-foo of like, I'm a better person now because I committed to walking every single day. Now I know that I even have the ability to commit to something no matter what. Because before then, I didn't know if I actually could, because I never could. Now I know. So that, I think that's what it takes. It really just takes like to kind of stay focused on the plan, like, and understand, but it has to be for you. Like, it can't be something that somebody else told you it needs to be. It has to be your own thing. Like, the 5% is for me. So like when I say it, even your reaction was like, whoa. Like, I saw, like, you know what I'm saying? But that's not some shit you ever want to pursue. So that's not something that like, but like for me, I understand that in the pursuit of the 5% means I'm going to learn how to sacrifice. I'm going to learn how to be able to say no to things that I really want to do momentarily for a better objective. I'm gonna learn how to take self-love and self-care, because I feel like eat better, train more efficiently, and focus. Like, I think the pluses outweigh the negatives. Like, it's gonna start sucking. Like, I'm gonna have to like really ramp stuff up as it gets closer. Because right now it's still very loose. Like, I can lose weight, I can burn fat with not being that specific in terms of like macros and all that kind of stuff. I just need to move a little bit more. You know, I just got to work out a little bit and I'll lose some weight. Blah blah blah. I'm burning some fat. But like, I realized that with that kind of goal, that's kind of hard to achieve. It's just gonna make me better as a person, and it fits with the theme of how I want my life to be. I said I want to be a physical specimen. I want to be elite. So it's like my goals kind of match that. I want to, because then I'm going to start adding on when I reach that or I get closer. I want to start running. Okay, what's my mile? I haven't run a mile in ages. Okay, let me run a mile. It's 15 minutes. Nah, I want to be able to run a mile in 4 minutes. Or when I'm benching, okay, I want to be able to bench this. I want this to be my max. I should be repping over 3 plates all the time. Right now, my max is only 3 plates. I'm not happy with that. So now I know. Now when I train, I have a goal here. I know I am here. Even not, so whether I want to go to the gym or not is irrelevant. I know I am here.
Right.
And that, I think a lot of us, we don't define why we're doing what we're doing or what it is that we want to do. So I think Gary Vee, I don't listen to him all the time, but one thing he used to say all the time was reverse engineer. So you get to the goal, you plan out what you want to do, what you want to be, and then you just work backwards. Like, this is where I want to be. How do I get there? And then when stuff starts happening, because the way the universe works, I believe, it's like once you define your goal, now the universe is going to see if you see God, the universe, whoever you believe in, is going to start putting distractions in your way to see how focused and how passionate you are about what you want to do. Like, let's say you decide, you know what, I want to have the best podcast. I want my own podcast, and I want to have the #1 podcast in my genre, right? Now you work for a podcast right now. So let's say once you define that, now all of a sudden you go to work tomorrow and the woman whose podcast you work on offers you $200,000 to just like only focus on her. I don't know what your number goal is mentally, but let's say
right.
She just offers that. Let's say she offers what your number goal is that you want to kind of make with yours. And so was it the numbers goal you wanted, or did you want the freedom to express and use your own voice? That's the dilemma that you're faced with. It's like, I said I wanted my own #1 podcast. She's offering this much money, something to work on her podcast. This isn't mine. This is her voice. I'm working for her, but I kind of want the freedom to work for me.
Right.
And in this sense, you'll probably say, I'll take that job and still work on mine. I mean,
right.
You know
Obviously.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Both.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of both. Okay.
Yes,
BOF.
obviously. But point being is that you get those kind of distractions. Because when you work on that one at that kind of level, it's going to take the time away that you would probably have to really work on yours. Truly. Which you're still going to make it. You're going to try to do it, but it might take way longer. And let's say you start being unhappy with this podcast. Like, can you walk away from that money to really pursue your stuff? Like, would you be able to? Because I call things like that traps. Like, I've turned down like opportunities that would potentially make me a lot of money because I always fear myself. Like, I know myself. I'm like, I will get trapped working this job for a long time because the pay's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and this isn't necessarily about me. Well, yeah, well, you're talking about me. But like, I think like part of the trap is more what you were saying before, which is like, do I want this $200,000 or do I want the freedom, to express and a lot of people, they will do things that go against their own community, their own self-interest, their own self-interest of freedom, like in terms of being free and living and expressing yourself and doing what you consider to be the right thing. Like I don't generally there's not a lot of times where I compromise my deepest core values like that for my job. If somebody, and it's funny because I think the one thing that's specific about art and media and communication, right, is that people are expressing their ideas. In sports, you're expressing your ideas through physical movement, through various things, but for in communication, it's like that's literally what this motherfucker thinks and their opinion. And if you're working under a racist, for example, like would you keep taking the money and just say fuck whatever? Because I'm sure some of the people that I work under are racist, not on my team specifically, but like whatever. And they have or certain organizations, I'm gonna be careful here, but certain organizations, they do, people have worked for certain organizations that they felt were racist or sexist or whatever it is, and they kept their job there, or some people leave because they have like a personal grievance. I think it depends on your personal philosophy. Like if I'm working this job and it affords me the ability to put my kids through school, have opportunities, like I've done outreach stuff that I want to do more of this year, but I only had like one-time opportunities, but I want to do more of that with podcasting and media and journalism in schools and stuff like that, like go and talk to other people, right? And I didn't get paid for that. That was just, that's just fun for me. It's fun and it's interesting to learn what whatever. But if I can get paid though, of course, I'll take that bread. But I think that it's like the freedom for me is more like, what can I do? Like, if I can't say certain things, because you work for certain organizations, you don't even want to say certain stuff in public on your own personal Twitter. Like that's the dangerous thing for me is not so much working for someone else's goal if it's not a negative goal. Like in the show I work on, of course, like TTF, like I don't have an issue with the goal of the show. There are things that I'm not into and topics, but that's something that I talk to, Nora about, or I talk to the teammates about. It's not something that's a hidden or, like I'm deeply resenting or some crazy shit. But, and everyone has their personal agenda, but I think that, that's a question that we all ask ourselves, like, you get into that. Some people make it funny, like on some Illuminati, you get into that room and the dude tells you to, like bend over or some crazy shit. Like, what would you do for this bread type shit? Yep. And that's an extreme, and that's probably not happening every day or no, that's, whatever. It could, who knows? But I'm just saying, like, regardless though, it's one of those things where you have to question your personal morals and whatever. Like for me, there's a certain point where I know I boil over. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain point where I'm like, okay, I'm tired of working for these other people. I can't do this anymore. It's happened to me at multiple places, and it will continue to happen because I'm born, and my natural nature is to do my own thing. And even my experiences and my trauma and various things have made it where I kind of do my own thing. And you see me, I'll be biking by myself. I got the homie sometimes, but sometimes we see each other going around, whatever. And I see you do your own thing a lot too. Like some people are just more like, you do your own thing, whatever. And in fact, that's the kind of people I like to surround myself with. That's the kind of people I like to build things with and do stuff. Because I like when someone's like, listen, I'm doing my own thing. I'll learn from you. I'll try to work with you. But the moment I feel like I'm under somebody or I'm under some business or I'm doing something that is not all the way, right? You could call it ego, you could call it what you want, but I'm ready to get the fuck up out of there and do my own thing. And I also think like what you said about your children and building legacy and building the sense of like, no, we can own our own business. Like, my daughter, she's what, 11 weeks. I don't know how many weeks it is because I don't count weeks. So she's 2.5 months here, and so it's like I started a stock account for her. It's only a few $100s in there, but I'm going to continue to put money. I want her to look at life from not from a privileged background, but from a standpoint of like she's privileged to know who she is and what she wants in life, and she's supported. Like there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of a long-winded response to what you're saying, but yeah, I think we all deal with that. And I guess, you know, part of my question earlier too, and it kind of relates to what I'm saying about myself, but part of my question earlier about like what the end game was is like, you know, you talk about getting up every day, walking every day, maybe exercising every day. These are the things that you do to move in the right direction, but they're also what I'm kind of curious about is like what are the means to an end? You see what I'm saying? Like if you get a job at a college as like a coaching assistant, is that something that you would do while building? Because, and I want to preface this with an idea because I want to actually know what you think about this. The personal development slash, and I'm not trying to pigeonhole you, but like life coach type motivational, but not just foo-foo la-la motivation, like personal development, brand development, all of that stuff. It's kind of like a field where people have a perception that you have to have experience to be telling me how to do this thing.
Right. Absolutely.
What's your approach to, you know, like with me, I'm working on a podcast, but maybe long term that's not. Maybe long term it's my Malekebu Productions or my own business or whatever. So like, what are those things that are a means to an end for what you're trying to do that you're willing to do and won't compromise your values?
Yeah. So because that's been my that's been the biggest thing is imposter syndrome, and that's the thing I feel with like all these like young life coaches and business coaches and things now is like their business is teaching you how to be that, but they don't actually have a business. Like if you're a business coach and you've never like been a high up, like I don't need you to have to own the business, but where you high up in the business where you affected major things in the business, like why should I learn from you? So that's been my biggest thing. So right now I think I have some stuff that I'm working on. Like I have things with my dad that we've been kind of talking about the kind of build a brand around him. I've talked with my sister, and it's been with family stuff really right now because I have in my family household that I grew up in. There's like we have like talented people, and that's not a bias. That's some talented people in the crib, and I think that's why I think the way I think too is like it was cultivated like that. And then like with my older sister, me and her be talking about like building up her brand. Like she works in hospital administration. She also authored a book, you know. So she's like I'm saying, you can do more than one thing. My younger sister, she's been having a hard time, but she's very gifted artistically, and she's a photographer and a videographer. And I'm like, I was talking to her recently, like, let's build your brand. So it's like I'm working with these people to help them build their stuff. But how I benefit from that is it gives me experience, and then it gives me social proof to say I've actually worked on these things, and this is where they started, this is where they are now, and this wasn't like just because of my family doesn't mean that it's gonna work. You know what I'm saying? And then my own brand, like start from even from on a fitness standpoint, like this is what I look like I'm getting certified in personal training and stuff like that. So in nutrition, and so it's like this is what I look like, and this is what I look like now. So it's like you can see that I put in the work, and I'm not just talking from some stuff I read in a book, or building my own businesses, or partnering with you and things. So it's like when you see at the end of the day the things that I've worked on, I've been a part of, you understand why I feel like I'm able to share. Because as you see, when you look at my social media, there's nothing really on there because like I can say like I can help people. Like people hit me up all the time for like advice and things like that, right? Like I don't give them advice, but it's like I don't really push life coaching. I don't push I'm a trainer. I don't push any of that because like right now I know I'm not in the space for that. Like I don't feel like I'm qualified enough to be trying to tell you how to do certain things. Like I'll advise. Like I told my guy who's an artist, like he's like, I'm like, you know what? Like I'm gonna step back from trying to like manage you because like I'm not in a space for that, but I'll definitely like advise you on things. Like I'm like, I don't know if you should do it that way. How you thought about this? I had like read something that they was doing that. Like, let's try that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But those things also add to my skill set. So when people are like, well, what did you do? It was like, well, I helped him with this, this, this. I helped her with this, this, this. I helped. And I think that's what I'm doing. It's like I also have other business I'm learning to build my own thing so that I have the social proof. I guess to answer your question in short is to build social proof through different avenues that I'm working on currently so that when I start talking truly, I have something to stand on. Or I could start from the standpoint of like, I don't know shit about shit right now, but you're going to watch me learn. You can watch the journey and understand that I'm not giving you bullshit. So as I learn something and I teach you what I'm learning, you learn that way too. Like
Right.
there's two ways that I'm looking at it. So that's what I'm struggling with. Like, should I show you where I am now and bring you along? But once I get there, should I start talking? And I think you can't really go wrong either way. It's just more so how I want to do it.
Well, and I think you not necessarily that you could go wrong either way, but like you're a person who I've noticed like you do want to teach other people and show other people how to do things like and improve other people's life the same way I do. You know what I'm saying? And like I actually make it a thing not to hang out with people who don't want to show other people how to live better and shit. Like that's one of my main things. Like I will not kick it with you if you know, like you'll never catch me. And I think that when you do the sort of like day-to-day thing, the only thing that I could see going wrong with that is that you become there's no slight to him, but like there's a dude named David Dobrik. I don't even know what his content is like. He's on YouTube. He's a white guy. He just makes I don't get it fully, but it's one of those like oh, I went to the store today and look, you know, like with my friends and blah blah blah. And I think it's like voyeurism is unhealthy. Like just watching people's lives for the sake of watching people's lives versus, and I think that's maybe even where you feel like a little bit, I don't know if I want to do that because it's like, it should have a purpose. Like when I take pictures and I send them, sometimes I'm playing around and joking, but I'm trying to like legitimately, sometimes it's just a enjoyable thing for me, but most of the time I'm trying to show people like this is how you enjoy life, because that's what my uncles, that's what my mentors and various people have done. They try to show me in a physical way, this is how you enjoy life, this is how you take care of your family, this is how you improve your health. And it doesn't have to be me saying, yo, this is how you do the bench, watch this, blah blah blah. You're showing through footage of you working out, walking, that this is how you promote health in life. Yeah. You know, like teaching people like this is how you live a better life. This is how you don't bench ride. Like no bench riding's whole thing is about teaching other people. If it was just you would just fucking do it and ask your dad or your sister for a job at some company and try to, you know, weasel your way in somewhere, you know, but you like that purpose, I think is what's important. And so like, I think whatever your approach is like what your approach is. You know, and it's like it's a wise thing, and if you do struggle, it's not so much a struggle, but if you do like think twice before just constantly posting what you're doing every day, like that's smart. Some motherfuckers are just out here, they're personal trainers, but it's like they're taking pictures, like especially with the girls, because that's something that's attractive to people. It's like taking pictures in bikinis all fucking day, you know, and that's cool if that benefits your brand to some degree. I get it, but sometimes you're just doing that for your ego, and you have to admit that. Like you're trying to get gassed up. It doesn't do anything really for the world other than promote lust or promote, you know. Right. So there is something to that. So you're moving to Vegas, and when is that happening? You say you're moving this week?
This Friday.
And when you touch down in Vegas, like what's the first thing you're going to do? Are you just going to your house and getting set up or whatever? Like let's say the first day that you're there. So maybe you get there at 6 o'clock one night, you go to sleep. But like the first day, what's your approach? Like, how are you approaching this move? And like, what's your first thing you're going to be doing?
Yeah. So honestly, my goal was to like move there and kind of 0 dark 30, like just go black. Like I wasn't actually like I planned on like not even being active on social media or nothing until like January, just to like put my head down and figure out a way to make some money, so probably a job until I can build up any entrepreneurial things, study for my personal training certification, train. So figure out where I'm gonna train in. I know I have a lifetime membership currently, so I know there's a couple lifetimes in that area. Maybe not necessarily Las Vegas, but like in neighboring cities. So call them and make sure like I'm the same level of membership that I need, so I can keep training. And if they're even open, because I know in Nevada they're kind of being super strict with like COVID and everything right now, because I think they had some outbreaks in that state specifically. Because everybody was going to Vegas, like because they couldn't go nowhere else. Like it was just like a trend lately. But
a cesspool.
Yeah. So it's really going there. Like it's funny that like you would go to Las Vegas to like find yourself, but like I'm really going there.
Yeah, you better be careful trying to find yourself in Vegas, man.
Right.
You gonna find the wrong thing.
Right.
The wrong thing.
Facts. So it's really like keep the main thing. Like I need to make sure I stay and push further with my training and nutrition. I need to find a source of income, just a steady source of income, aka a job. And then once I kind of maintain, so maybe probably the job is probably the first big goal. And then after that, it's like building on that. Like, okay, now the entrepreneurial things I want to pursue right now. What are the things I want to really start on? Like, my dad wants me to help him with social media because he has a brand he's building on there. So, all right, I'm going to learn how to do that and work with him to help him build that. Build my own, figure out how to build my own. And then figure out the school thing that's going to happen in January, whether I decide to go out to LA to play football and go to school out there, or if I decide to stay in Nevada and go to school in Nevada and stay. Like there's some decisions I have to make about what I want to do. And then how do I push no bench riding as the overall brand? Like I was saying, like there's all these aspects, like these physical things I want to do, like powerlifting, weightlifting, like strongman, martial arts, Spartan races, those kind of things. Like, all right, well, which one am I going to do first? How do I start training for that? Because then I'm going to educate on like how myself, I'm going to use myself as the guinea pig all the time. Oh, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm training, this is the stuff I'm doing for that. So then like when you build the following, I'm going to have people that, it's just become who I want to become. But it's basically what I'm saying and figuring out how to do so. Right now it seems so like, because I don't really know. It's like I don't have the clear-cut plan yet.
Are you driving?
Yeah. So that drive is going to be my brain working too as I'm driving.
What year do you have like a 2000?
My car?
5 and above or something?
Yeah, 2013. And I just got it back from the shop to make sure it was all good to go. And they fixed some things.
Well, one thing I just thought about is like one good way, I saw your post on Twitter too about like going to a new city. Uber and Lyft is like a good way to make money and see the city.
That's true.
Like easy and to meet people and to, connect. Maybe you don't meet as much, but, you get there, you have not shit to do. Uber and Lyft, and especially you talking about Vegas, like motherfuckers going to be taking Uber and Lyft everywhere. Obviously safety, but you're, a strong dude. You'll be fine. You probably get a concealing carrier. I don't know what the fuck you need to do all that, but I'm saying that's a good way to see multiple parts of the city and see it from a map perspective and be making money and have time to drive and do stuff all day and like think to yourself. That's one option.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Do you?
I thought about that for sure.
Okay, so you're moving this week. What's your what's your family talking about? What are your kids talking about? And
they honestly, they both didn't really have too much to say when I told them. I don't think they like truly understand the impact it's gonna have on them until it kind of happens.
Right.
And my daughter made us. She did say like she doesn't want me to go. Like she's sad that I'm moving, but like they didn't really have a physical response. Like they didn't like cry or anything like that. They didn't like. It was kind of like. And then my daughter had said she already knew because she heard me talking to her mom about it previously, which I didn't know. She never said anything about it. So I think she's probably had time to like mentally prepare for whenever I had that conversation, whenever I brought it up to them. And my son just turned 4, so like he's kind of just like, why? You know, like he doesn't really, he's not really processing it too deep either. Like, I feel like the reaction they're gonna have is gonna be after it already happens, and they're actually going out of town this weekend too. So it's kind of like they're more excited about that than thinking about me leaving.
Right.
So
They
once,
don't understand it yet.
yeah. So once like they come back and they realize like, dang, dad's not here, then I think that's when stuff happens. But like I plan, plan on talking to them every day. Is what it is, and that's beautiful about technology now and like FaceTime and things of that nature. Is that you can still stay kind of as present as you can stay without physically being in the home. But that's the toughest thing is like leaving them, and that's the thing that I was like mulling over every day. Like I don't want to. Like I don't want to leave them, but I understand that like to be the best version of myself, it's not healthy for me to be where I'm at right now. And it's unfair because like I should have figured that out before I had kids. You should probably prep yourself to be the best you could be at the moment before you have kids, and I didn't. But like hindsight's always 2020. It is what it is. But now at this point, like they don't feel like I don't love them or anything like that, and that's the most important. You know, so it's just making the best of a situation that's not the best.
Is Vegas just because you got people out there and there's a base out
Yeah,
there?
Vegas was just only to my dad out there, and there's a place to like be and like no overhead, like or low overhead, depending on what we talk about in terms of if I have to pay them any rent or any for or if it's free. That's it's just a place to have a base to like really not have high stress and just be able to focus on me.
Do,
And
do you have plans to ever move back, or is that move to Cali or whatever
yeah,
post
so
Vegas? Is that what's the
so
yeah?
it like with school, I think I would put like University of Minnesota on the list of a school I apply to in the future. I don't really want to like if I moved back to Minnesota, it'll be on a basis of like kind of what you were saying earlier about like having a base. Like I would have Minnesota be my home base because like my kids are there, but then I'll still want to like rip and run for whatever I'm working on with the stuff that I'm working on. But like I don't like this movie because I hate Minnesota. Like I'm not one of those people like Minnesota sucks. Like everywhere else in the world it's just better than Minnesota. Blah blah blah. Like nah, that's not how I feel about here. But I do feel like at this point in my life, at this time, I need to go elsewhere. So whether that's temporary, or like as I move, I realize I can't come back to Minnesota. I just need to make sure I have the financial, which is another motivation to make money, not tied to a job, so I can like get back to Minnesota on a regular basis to stay very active in my children's lives and be able to fly them out to me on a regular basis if I don't ever have a home base back in Minnesota. Make sense?
Right.
Like because this isn't uh I want to leave them and never be in their life type thing, but I need to make sure my life's set up right. So that's why the desire to figure out how to build and grow, which ultimately the trophy of that is always money, right? In impact, so I can the freedom to move around as I see fit without having to like put my notice in and get it approved and that kind of stuff. Because that life to me is like prison. Like to ask if you can take a break at work, like that kind of like we're grown people. And we're asking other people like if we can go use the bathroom or we can like go on vacation and stuff like that. Like, that's trash.
Yeah.
Trash. And that's just how I look. And that's why I say I don't like shit on jobs and 9 to 5 and stuff like that. I shit on the fact that like the system is like you're still a baby. Like I have to ask you if I want to go have fun with my like take family time or move around as I please. Like no, I can't do it. Like I just can't. I can't do it for a long time. So it's like I have to do it right now until I can no longer do it anymore. And I'm just like I'm struggling with jobs. Like I'm struggling with working jobs. Like it's not something that I like. That's not something I could take. Like I need to work for me, or be partnering up with people,
Right.
and providing the service to them or whatever the case may be. But it's like it's just different. It just feels different. So next time we talk, like hopefully I'm on here again and to follow up and stuff and keep maybe I come on every now and then, keep letting you followers know how I'm progressing. I have more clear-cut plans and be telling everybody what I'm actually up to, because I know right now it really sounds so like unorganized because it is, because I'm still like really trying to figure out how I'm about to move, because like not how I'm about to move, I didn't move there, but like progress. Because there's so many things, and it's like, all right, I need to figure out what to do first to really kind of buckle in on before I start adding more things. Because right now it's like I have like 6 things that I want to do, but if I'm trying to like dabble in them all at once, it's not gonna work. Not at least not in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, life is like that. Like, and I noticed about myself that I have to do multiple things. And it's okay. Like, well, not that I have to, but I thrive better when I'm juggling multiple things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and some people will call that ADD. I just say like, my dad. I always looked at my dad and his ability to, get 2 master's degrees and this and that, and like completely different thing, computer forensics and like biochemical engineer in the military, like, but he drives a bus, or like the light, like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
and like worked at pasta companies and General Mills. Like he's done so much stuff that doesn't seem like what he should be doing for his degrees. He draws. He's like a crazy good drawer and painter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he's super interested in music, and he's okay at music. He's not that good naturally. But what I learned from him was that, he always said, be jack of all trades, master of none. He used to say that all the time. That was like an adage. Like he would say, it's good to be a jack of all trades. And I used to look at my dad, and I didn't think he was unsuccessful, but I thought like, damn, why don't you, go ham? Like, you're so good at this drawing. You're so good. You're so smart. You're so this, you're so that. And it was almost like a no bench riding thing. Like, why do you keep bench riding, but, he enjoys what he does. Like, he doesn't mind driving. He did semi truck driving. He did, like the buses. Now he's doing the light rails. He did taxi cabs in New York, I think maybe New Jersey, here in Minnesota. Like, he did a bunch of factory jobs, like, and he's okay just working like 12 hours a day, you know what I'm saying? 16, like he's okay just working for long hours. And what I looked at it and I said, maybe I have a predisposition to juggle a bunch of stuff like my dad or, whatever, and maybe not focus on one thing, but I'm going to try to hone my skills and leverage the things that I'm good at, you know what I'm saying, to my benefit. And even if it's, I was a musician originally. That's what my real passion was. And I know podcasts and whatever, like I still like music. I realize now I've been trying to start again to writing a film and stuff like that. And so I'm like really into that, like writing an outline for a film and all of that. And I think that it's one of those things where it's okay for you to be juggling multiple things and sometimes that's the best way to do stuff. Like, is to try to find a balance and start, lifting the things up. And then when you catch on to something that you're like, oh, okay, this thing is working, and maybe you just double down on that thing. But I don't think it's your job to be in your 20s all the time, just super doubling, tripling down on some shit in life and realizing like, oh shit, like maybe I'm passionate about this, but this makes no money. You know,
Yeah.
maybe I'm good at this, but I'm not passionate about it. Like I was good at math, but I wasn't passionate about just math and equations and
Yeah.
formulas. You know, like I'm not super passionate about teaching, at least teaching math in that sense. Like I could teach you how to put something together. I'm good at cooking. Like I'm super cold at cooking, but I never really I never made a connection between my cooking and like the betterment of all humanity, because there's also like purpose driven shit. So I think like, man, dude, you know, there's nothing wrong with where you're at with stuff, you know, and I think you said a lot of stuff that's really concrete that you're doing and that you're aiming to do, and it's something that can be learned from regardless, you know.
Mhm.
Is there anything that I didn't ask or we didn't talk about, or anything that you wanted to say, or plug or anything like that? You know, I want to give you some time just to end us out.
Yeah, no, I mean, if anything, I'll come back on. Like I said, I think the biggest thing that I want to leave here with is that I really want everyone to take a self-assessment of themselves and really evaluate if the life they're living is a life they want to live. And if it's not, why and how are you going to change it if you want to? Because some people are just so settled and they're like, I'm not gonna change that. And that's honorable to be real, to be like, this is probably what it's gonna be. All right, cool. Like if that's what you know and if you smooth with that, I'm smooth with that. But if you are not, like if you really like, I'm unhappy with this and I just feel like this ain't it. I really feel I really want people to really start pushing that it's okay to change up the life that you're living, even if you're 25, 26, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, like older. Like you don't have it figured out. Like if you're 40 and feel like the shit you've been doing is not it for you, change, pivot, and go in a different direction. Like you're not dead. Like you're not dead. Like you probably still have a lot of time left. Like, and it don't matter. Like even if you die the next day, like change that day and live the best day of your life that day because you're changing your life. Like just change your life. Like that's what no bench riding is to me. Like it's really just like stop settling for what it is if that's not what you want it to be. Like, and we just do it, and it's just and like I'm real passionate about that. Like it's almost like I can't have a regular conversation because I'd be so intrigued with what people are doing, and like, is that what you really want to do? And it makes me so sad how people just are just they just give up. Like they just like it is what it is, and it's like it isn't what it is.
Right.
And so just keep no bench riding in your mind. Like no bench riding is truly a philosophy of life. Like it's truly a mindset of like, this isn't the life you want to live, and let's figure out how to change and be who I want to be. And like there's no excuse. There's no excuse why you can't. People give you try to give you the best. Like I have kids, I'm poor. And it's like it's gonna be harder. I'm not gonna sugarcoat like it's smooth. But like, don't you think your kids deserve to see like have you be their role model and see what it looks like to actually pursue something? Like I think they're gonna admire that more than you struggling doing some bullshit that you don't want to do. And I'm not saying you have to quit your job. Like you might have to do the bullshit to keep the bills paid and then work on the other shit on the side until it take off. But like chase your dreams. Like define your dreams, chase your dreams, be happy. Like be happy. And I don't mean foo be happy like because you're gonna have bad days, but I just mean like feed your soul. Like do what's you. Like find out who you are and be that. Like, I don't know any better ways to say it. Like because I get so frustrated. Like I'm thinking of like so many people in my head who I've had conversations with. That's just like,
Right.
but it's just like, man, like we don't have to be how society tells us we have to be, and it's not too late. Like I just see people clowning people who like making change in life because they're older. Like they're old nigga trying to do this, and it's like so fucking what? Like who cares? Like low key, we should be clowning you because you don't even like what you're doing, even if you make six figures at it. Like you hate your life. Like you hate this job, but you scared to give up that check. Like you're a slave right now. You're a real slave. Like, that's, if you don't like what you're doing and you just doing it because you're scared to go with your lifestyle, you're a slave. And I get that there's a lot to that. I get that there's a lot that plays in there from a trauma standpoint to like a fear of going back to where you were standpoint, if there's no assurance. But isn't that, look, you get one of these. You get one of these. Like, at this point, I'm like I mean, my dad was saying, like, when I was talking about LA, he was like, you have the money? And I was like, listen, I don't know, but I feel like I have to go. And if I have to sleep in my car, and I have to sleep in my car, but I have to go. And that was before moving there was a conversation we were having. It was just like, I'll figure it out, but like, sometimes you just have to go. And then, because like, this isn't it either. And maybe I'll figure it out being in a different mental space, but it's like the first step was getting there. So when people talk about what's the steps, how do I just start? Sometimes the step is just getting there. And then once you get there, you figure out the second step. So like when you're asking me about like what's your steps when you get to Las Vegas, it's like my first step is just getting there. Driving to Las Vegas, getting there. And then my second step is probably getting a job. And that once I have some money coming in where I can pay some bills, I can start charting my course accordingly. And I think when we start thinking too much about the logistics and the steps, it really stops us. And I'm like, that's something I've been thinking about for a long time. It needs to be more. Somebody needs to write a book, and maybe I need to do it on how to start. So, like, for me, my biggest thing has always been like, I always had issues when I'm listening to motivational speakers or people who have found success, and they say, "I just started," right? And to me, it's like, I understand you have to. I understand you have to do. I understand that sometimes it's like when you start a business, you might not know everything, or you're not going to know everything. You figure stuff out as you go. But I always have an issue when they just kind of make it like, I woke up one day and I just made a decision to be able to change my life. Okay, what goes into that decision? Did you consult with anybody? Like, what was like? Did you have a mentor? Did you have an example you were setting? So, for example, for this move, like the move, me changing my life about Vegas and doing that, the start to me is like, okay, I asked my dad, like, yo, would you do some move if I lived there? Yep, cool. Now, getting there is the next step, moving there. Now, when I get there, I need a job. Getting a job so I can have some money, so I can give back, so I can give money to my kids' mom, so they can help bills and help pay for kids and things like that, and my own life, right? The step after that is like, okay, where am I gonna train while I'm here? Because that's important to me to have a place to train. So okay, there's lifetimes in the Vegas area or where my direct area. So find that, secure that, so I have a place to train. Cool. What I need to get the certification for personal training and things like that. All right, let me buckle down and study that because I'm not in school right now, so I have time. This could be my school that I'm studying, and if there's another one I want to add for like a different certification or something else, I could add that on too and study those. Those are my steps. So I guess I do have some steps. And then figure out the school situation in January. So if it's LA, okay, I need to start getting back in touch with them, like making sure I'm set up for that. So when I move, I have school set up. I need to lock down my trademarking and all that stuff for no bench riding, things of that nature. Business and other business things on a technical standpoint to make sure I can really start being legit. Like those are the things that's like when you're just starting that's on my brain. Okay, I've just started. In the beginning stages of like, let's get that accomplished. And then once you start knocking those things off, it's like, what's next? The thing we get too deep into like what's gonna look like 7 months down the road, and you're not even like understanding what's gonna take in the first week, the first day, the first month. And like, let's get those things taken care of first before we start worrying about the long-term thing. Like, I'm not worried about what my diet's gonna look like in 7 months. I need to worry about what I'm gonna be eating right now. Cause all I have is right now, and that's gonna get me there. You know? So I just have to really focus in on those and just starting to me, just telling somebody just to start it's almost douchey. To be like, just
Right, right. And
so
how do you start? Like, it's like,
yeah.
what do I start on? And I feel like, not to drag it on, but it's like there's a lot of people in the motivational type field or life coach type field. It's like a self-perpetuating thing where they're all fired up and they fire people up and they get them going in no direction. Like, you know what I mean? Like no actual action plan or something like that. And like, I think that is something that some people need. Some people just need the awareness of like that fire. Sometimes you just want to hear, E.T., the hip hop dude or whatever. Like you just want to hear somebody like yell at you or tell you to like, get back on the bus or get back
Yep.
on the whatever it is. But some people, and I'm not saying him specifically, but some people kind of like, uh, are you still here?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, it was glitching. Some people sort of benefit off of not giving any tangible information or advice, like, and it's just like a huge, like, just it's like stoking a fire with no type of like structure to the fire, no kind of fireplace, just like burning, and it'll just burn people out and burn people down because they get this huge fire or they realize like that they have to consistently watch your video or be addicted to watching you for them to even have any kind of motivation in life. But I think that a motivational speaker or a motivational person, a life coach, personal development, that's a legitimate profession and a legitimate like life purpose to help other people. But there's like a way to do it. You know what I'm saying? That isn't
Yeah.
sleazy or not even just sleazy because sometimes it's like you don't even realize you're doing it. Maybe some of these people, but you're not giving anybody any real tangible help with anything, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so how does that anyway? Uh, okay.
No, that's 100% true. I feel that. So that's I think I'm that's where I'm at with myself is creating that tangible just start for myself and like what that looks like. And then, but I'm conscious of like if I were to start giving people advice in their own things because I've talked to a couple people and they're trying to tell me they're kind of in the same place of like I want to do something else but I don't know what or how or where to go. And it's like there's a formula. There has to be a formula. I know there's a formula that kind of even if it's how you think about it and what you kind of should check for any endeavor. And that's what I'm trying to figure out because I think some people just do it without understanding. Like, I don't think that those motivational speakers are necessarily being like secretive. I don't think sometimes they've even thought about that.
Right.
Like, what is it that you are actually doing that you can actually teach people how to do? Like, how to think about it or some stuff to like take into consideration when you're making your decision on how to start things. Like, oh, I didn't know I should. Okay, now I'm going in the right direction. Because it's really just about momentum. Like once you give somebody the momentum, I think that's when like the figuring it out on your own and learning and making the mistakes and stuff is a good play. Like you kind of like if I'm holding your hand through the whole process, you didn't actually learn. So I understand that, but I think that initial helping them with the foundations, like teaching them how to make the layup before they start trying to do 360 windmill dunks is the key. And I think that's what the start is. It's like teaching you how to dribble, teaching you how to shoot, teaching you how to make a layup. And then what you do from there to expand your game, find a mentor, make the mistakes, whatever.
Right. It's up to you. But the basic knowledge of
Yeah.
whatever it is.
And I think that's where the start comes in handy. And I think that's where people are dropping the ball. And I think there's a real need for that. And I'm like, shit, I'll figure that out, but let me figure that out so I can help others figure that out.
No bench riding, Xavier Burt. Thank you so much. It's been good. It's nice talking to you, man.
Oh,
We
for
should
sure.
go. We should go. And I'm not just saying this. A lot of people listen. Hold on. Let me slow down. A lot of people will say this type of shit like, "Yo, we should go walk, bro." And
Yeah.
it's all for the camera. The
Yeah.
moment you turn off, like, nah, I'm dead serious. Today, are you walking today? Did you already walk?
I am walking today, but mom not be right now. But I'll text you. I'll text you off camera.
I have to 3:30. I have a thing from 3:30 to like 4:30 or something. But other than that, I think I'm open. So
Yeah, it's my guy's birthday, so I'm not really sure what time I'll get to doing that.
right.
But like, I'll definitely let you know for sure. And yes, he has been hitting me about this walk, so he's not faking that he wants to walk.
No, yeah, and some people will be
He's
like,
been hitting me about this.
I've been hitting you about it. And
Yeah.
not just that, but I'm serious today. Like some people were like, oh, we should get around to some shit. I've literally seen this, and people be like, yo, we should do this. And you're bullshitting. You ain't gonna do it. You did it for the camera. Then
Right. No, facts.
all right,
We'll,
man.
we'll, talk, we'll, talk. We'll catch up for sure.
Well, peace, Xavier. Thank you, sir. You have a good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Peace.
It was a pleasure.